7 Action News, always taking action for you.
Good evening. General Motors in the middle of a corporate nightmare in the nation's capital.
Families of victims and legislators demanding answers in the faulty ignition recall that GM is accused of delaying for more than a decade now.
7 Action News investigator Ross Jones joins us live from Washington, D.C. Ross has been covering these talks all day long. Ross?
Stephen, Carolyn, good evening. Mary Barra began her remarks to congressional leaders today by promising she would be transparent about what GM did wrong here and how they're going to fix it. But over the next 2.5 hours of her testimony, she said a lot of things that congressional leaders found to be, well, not very transparent. And there was one exchange in particular that pretty much summed up the entire afternoon.
We recognize culture change doesn't happen in a year or two, but we are well on that journey, and we are dedicated to it. And we very clearly want to have the safest vehicles on the road.
And will you make that list public from the report that you're anticipating?
I'm sorry?
Will you make the list that will be coming forth public? Will you share that?
The list of, I'm sorry?
The full report coming from Mr. Valukas.
Mr. Valukas will give us findings, and we will make the appropriate findings available to this body, to our customers, and to our employees.
The appropriate findings. What about the full report?
I'm not I don't know if he'll give a report or if he'll share findings.
If he does, will you share the full report?
We will share the appropriate information.
Not the full report.
Again, I don't know if there will be a full report, but we will share.
If there will be a full report, will you share it?
I commit that we will be very transparent and we will share what's appropriate.
So in other words, there's no commitment to share the full report.
I'm saying I will share what is appropriate.
So there you heard Mary Barra not committing whether or not she and GM would share their complete analysis of what went wrong here. Apparently, we're only going to get information that they deem we ought to see. There were a number of other questions she would not answer today, including whether or not General Motors will set aside any money for those affected by this, the victims' families. It's unclear whether or not GM will set aside a fund for them to be compensated for all their losses. Tomorrow, Mary Barra gets to do this one more time. She'll be testifying in the Senate beginning at 10 a.m. and we'll be streaming it live at WXYZ.com. For now, we're live outside Capitol Hill. I'm Ross Jones. 7 Action News.
Quite the grilling there on Capitol Hill from those legislators. Ross, there's always backroom talk. What were reporters saying in the hallway, especially with those families lining the back of the hallway with their dead family members, the pictures of their dead family members? What were people saying?
Well, reporters certainly were frustrated that she did not take, first of all, a lot of time to answer our questions. She only took about 6 of them, and she got out of there as quickly as she could. But more than the reporters being frustrated, the families here were extremely frustrated, and we'll bring you some of that at Action News at 11. But they were extremely frustrated, shaking their heads at much of her testimony, in particular the portion we just played for you, when they tried to pin her down at what seemed to be very simple questions, and she refused to give what you would think would be a simple yes or no answer. They were very frustrated, and I would expect that will continue tomorrow when Mary Barra goes to the Senate.
I bet you're right. Back on the hot seat. All right. Thank you so much for your reporting, Ross. We'll talk to you later.